All right. Good evening, everybody. I have my live reading I'm going to do later on, as I scheduled to do at 7 p.m. But I have a few things that I do want to talk about. Actually, just one thing really I want to talk about. And I thought about it, I watched it, and so for those that don't know what I'm talking about, this is the situation with the Undertaker, Matt Lyda, and the 6 Feet Under podcast, which used to be called 6 Feet Under with Mark Calloway, but it's no longer that because it's been corporatized and brought into the WWE corporation as 6 Feet Under with the Undertaker. And I'm like, you know what? One day I was like, I wanted to see another episode. I'm like, why are they not dropping any more episodes? So they go to I'm like, I go to the 6 Feet Under channel. It's not there. But then I go to the WWE channel and the 6 Feet Under podcast, which has now been called 6 Feet Under with The Undertaker. And now it's with Michelle McCool as his host. I'm like, really? Really? What's going on here? I gave the first few episodes of the channel like, yeah, I'm not feeling this at all. And I'm thinking to myself, where's your co-host that you did this with, Matt Lyda? Where is he at? Where is Matt Lyda? Why is Michelle? I understand that Michelle McCool is your wife and all, and it plays a role in this situation quite a bit. It plays quite a role in this situation because this is 3 times now that you use your status as a legend to bury or prop up your wife more than she should have really been at all, in my honest opinion. There was a saying that I heard that I think it's don't ever meet your heroes. And I heard another podcast. I'm gonna give a shout out to Dietrich Davis of the New Wrestling World Order. He says, "Do meet your heroes," because, and I think this is really true throughout history. When you start placing people on pedestals and like these guys you don't know, but you're a fan of, and you idolize them, like, oh, they're my heroes, and you start finding out who the hell they really are. It's just like, you really not who I thought. Yeah, I don't know if I want to know more about you, but thank you that I know about you because you really not the best person that I really thought you be. But you really not. And the one thing we found out, the Undertaker, for as much as he dislikes Hulk Hogan, we're starting to find out he is like Hulk Hogan with the backstage politics and the politicking that what he did. Now you can say that was in the past. I'm sticking with what happened with this podcast, LFG, and the Hall of Fame. The 6 Feet Under podcast, the first iteration of it, 6 Feet Under with Mark Calloway, with obviously Mark Calloway, aka The Undertaker. And his original co-host, too, he was good friends with Matt Lyda. When he originally came out with that podcast in the beginning, I was like, oh, Undertaker doing podcast? I didn't see that coming. And the first episode was trash. It was basically Undertaker by himself. It's just like, oh, this ain't it. This ain't it. And then he realized he needed to do it in the way he's most comfortable with. In the wrestling usually it takes two to dance tango. So I think he had a first episode, I believe, in which he started with the first few episodes in which he started with his co-host Matt Lyda, saying it's not working, but it's actually definitely an upgrade from that very first episode or very first few episodes where you were just a standalone. But we started to notice something. The more we started to really see Matt Lyda when he started out as like the heel host, whatever, with his country accent and whatnot. The more you started to see Matt Lyda on camera in the podcast, the more I started going, "Ooh, he's actually not bad. He's actually pretty good." So good that he was able to bring stories and another side out of. We started to really get to know the Mark Calloway, which now has become a double-edged sword for him because in the beginning, it's just like, "Ooh, oh, this is what you really like." And we started to really like that. And he brought that out of him. First of all, the podcast was Matt's idea. It was their idea. This is obviously post retirement Undertaker. And it looked like he was just ready to go in this obscurity. And all of a sudden, Matt's like, let's keep up with the podcast. They keep it going. They get a new format with now Undertaker reacting and conversing with the co host. And Matt is getting better. So good, you find out he's actually pretty damn good in his own way. He's really damn good. Country boy, sandals, whatnot. So good that it's just like, wow, I didn't see this coming. And a lot of people that the more it got so successful, then it started hitting some roadblocks like, yeah, I don't know about that, Mark. Especially I think there's one episode where he talked about it was Muhammad Ali and how he called him a draft dodger, but you refuse to acknowledge why Muhammad Ali did not want to fight in the Vietnam War. Why would I fight a war that I'm going to fight a country I'm not being oppressed in when I'm being oppressed as a black man in this country? But you refuse to acknowledge that fact. And you say, "Oh yeah, he was an entertainer." But you refuse to acknowledge the fact that he did not want to serve in Vietnam, gave up the prime of his boxing career because he was calling out the evils of the United States at the time. That was already a huge strike. Oh, I'm about the flag, patriotism. Right. A lot of people when he had the episode with Donald Trump, which at this point, I didn't care. To me, the whole mask off moment happened under Joe Biden, and I really had to do a lot of research. I'm like, which I'm doing now to deprogram myself. I'm like, yo, this duopoly, they're all in it. You're all evil. Don't just pin it all on Donald Trump because he's the face of it now. He was settled to do this by the previous presidents, Biden, Obama, especially. Obama, especially. That's a whole nother discussion for another day, but I didn't care that he endorsed Donald Trump. Quite to be for real though, a lot of people in the wrestling entertainment business, most of them are Trump supporters or voted for Trump. So take that for what you will. Some of them voted for Kamala, and it didn't matter who you're going to vote for. You were going to get a warmonger anyway, who's not going to serve the interests of the actual people. So it didn't fucking matter. But back to The Undertaker. He screwed we're finding more about the Undertaker, good and bad. And along the way, the podcast is growing in numbers. Like before it got under the WWE umbrella, WWE was taking notice. They were taking notice. So, ooh, that podcast is banging. Ooh. And it's the Undertaker. We know he'll do right by the WWE. He's loyal to the WWE. So that's going on. So we get to LFG. And the original coaches on LFG are Booker T, Undertaker, they Bully Ray Dudley, Bubba Ray Dudley with Bully Ray, doesn't matter, and Mickey James. At one point in the episodes, his wife comes on through working with Mickey's group at the time in LFG season 1, I remember, and I believe. He pulls his wife to the side, which this is already should have been going off in my head. He knew this. He knew this was going to happen. And then all of a sudden, she starts to really get to work with Mickey's group or be as one of the coaches. And Mickey James, got screwed over, buried by Undertaker because they replaced Mickey James with Undertaker's wife, Michelle McCool. That was already strike 2 at this point now, because I talked about the whole dismissing why Ali evaded. Ali did not want to fight in Vietnam, did not want to serve in the Vietnam War. This was strike 2, and this will be a reoccurring theme going for the next 2 things. All right. And I'm like, the hell? Mind you, this all takes place before the WWE Hall of Fame. So now comes the WWE Hall of Fame. Hold on. So now comes the WWE Hall of Fame. And there's been talk of Michelle McCool might actually be going into the hall, could be a candidate for the Hall of Fame. I'm like, Michelle McCool? Yeah, she had like a moment or two, but Hall of Fame? Now, this has got to be Undertaker flexing, using his Sander Barrett, using his status as one of the immortals to flex, to push for this. Has to be. No way I would put Michelle McCool in the Hall of Fame. No disrespect, but hell no. ESPN comes because ESPN's now also working with WWE more and more. They're on Get Up, I believe, with Mike Greenberg. Triple H comes in because Shawn Michaels made it his point to put Triple H into the Hall of Fame because they're best buddies. Now, Triple H has a body of work, but still, Shawn Michaels did that stuff. And so, as you do this for me, I do this for you. And this was Triple H's I do this for you because we talked and whatnot. He makes an announcement that Michelle McCool is going into the WWE Hall of Fame. Wait a second. Is Victoria in the Hall of Fame? Is Jazz in the Hall of Fame? There's a couple others I'm probably missing off the top of my head in terms of women. But is Jazz in the Hall of Fame? They're not in the I don't think they're either in the Hall of Fame, but they did more than Michelle McCool, and they're not in the Hall of Fame. Okay, we see what's going on here. You buried that is strike three already to flex your status like that. And then we get to there's a long hiatus. They were still doing episodes of 6 Feet Under with Mark Calloway, with Matt Lyda as the host. And then there was this long, long hiatus or whatnot. Undertaker had a heart attack or something like that. Okay. Glad he survived, you know? And then, and I'm waiting for the new episodes of 6 Feet Under. And then I had to go to the WWE channel and see 6 Feet Under moved over there. I'm like, okay, so it's been moved over to um it's clearly been moved over to WWE and it's probably been bought and they got it, corporatized it immediately. And the first thing I'm noticing, like, where's Matt Lyda? He's not there. Few episodes go by, he's still not on there. I'm like, you know what? I'm not watching this. I'll just see clips, not there. Michelle has no chemistry with the Undertaker at all, despite being his wife and everything. No chemistry. It's boring. And then I watch the Maven podcast, in which he has the former host of 6 Feet Under with Matt Lyda. They get to the talking. I think they finished one of their last episodes. And Matt Lyda says, he pulls him to the sides and tells him, hey, we're going to WWE. We merged with 6 Feet Under merged with the WWE. We've been bought in. And Matt Lyda, you can tell he was hurt. He was hurt talking about this. Wait, and Maven asks, wait, you just found out right like that, right then and there? Yeah. You weren't even informed? Nope. Just found out like that. You ditched your partner. Now I get it. Get your money, bro. Get it. But that's also capitalism right there. Because he felt that now I'm getting better money. I got to ditch you. Because this is WWE now. Corporatized, got that money. You working with LFG, NXT, whatnot. And you'd even vouch for the guy who really, in my opinion, created your goddamn podcast. He was the engine of your damn podcast. Yes, you are the star of the show, but he was the engine. He was the engine of your podcast. You backstabbed Matt Lyda. You backstabbed Matt Lyda. And that's the second time you backstabbed somebody within damn near 3-4 months. First is Mickey James, who was way better than your wife, Michelle McCool. No disrespect, but those are facts. And then you backstabbed a guy who has given you one of the greatest, in my opinion, second acts post your legendary career. And like Vince McMahon, he was the architect and engine of a hell of a run that you were going on. The guy, because Vince McMahon gave you life with the character as the Undertaker. He chose you. And Matt Lyda is like, let's do a podcast. Which I'm like, okay, I don't know about that. But he was so good as a host. He was able to bring out stories about Mark Calloway, show other sides of Mark Calloway, good and bad. And he got that out of you for damn near like 55 episodes. 55 episodes, whether it's just the two of them or with guests, especially the Mark Henry episode. That's where things started to go like this, in my opinion. And you do that to that guy. You backstabbed him. Like the OJs. What they do? They smile in your face. Oh, the backstabbers. Backstabbers. Or money, 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 money. All it doesn't matter which one of the two you think of. Both are true. Money and backstabbers. You backstabbing snake. You backstabbed the engine of your podcast. And the way you did it, that was cruel. I understand it's capitalism and everything, but unlike Vince McMahon, he's the owner too. He's the engine. You couldn't even think. You couldn't even think to at least have a conversation with him about, hey, what do you think? I haven't talked with the WWE yet. You couldn't even have thought of like to bring him along as a producer or something. He deserved better than that. I don't care about your political affiliations or whatnot. He deserved better than that. Asshole. And you were the one that kept on saying you didn't like how Hulk Hogan did you in. But what you did, but how Hulk Hogan almost did you in. But the crazy part is how you talked about Hulk Hogan is what you did to that guy. And like you in the beginning of your career, he didn't have your money. Like you didn't have Hulk Hogan money, he didn't have your money. But yeah, he wanted to do it because he was not only a fan, he was a friend. And we got that during that podcast. And he said nothing will come between him when it comes to money in that podcast. Are you really sure? Because I was watching that Maven, the episode on Maven. He looked hurt. And he doesn't want to ever go around talking about it. He looked hurt. And I can't blame you. Mark Calloway, you're diabolical. They say never meet your heroes. And I was a firm believer in that. Even if I have to come to grips with that a little bit more, I'm on the firm belief you probably should meet your heroes because sometimes you really need to learn people for who they are. And that podcast showed us a lot about Mark Calloway and how he engaged things. And the fact that we had to find out from, and Maven, you are one of the best podcasters still. Good takes, bad takes, you still one of the best. And I'm glad you found your second footing post wrestling. Hey guys, this is Maven here. Hi, Shuri. I'll be I'll be back on for another reading of One Nation the Blackmail, but this is something that I've really wanted to talk about for a while. I do not understand for the life of me how a guy who was a friend of yours puts his time and resources and money, something I know he doesn't have the amount that you have, Mark, was passionate, a owner of that podcast. And you just wow, just jerk the rug underneath him, all for you, not for the not just really for the WWE money, fine, but again, this is capitalism. This is capitalism because he felt that okay, we got greater money and you served your purpose, but instead of being a real friend and telling you along the way, I'm gonna make you find out, backstab you behind your back. You served your purpose, but I'm not gonna be a man tell you about it face to face. Screw you, Mark. And this is the and again, you put your wife, you flexed your status as a legend and said, my wife has to keep the money in the family. My wife has to get it. Sorry, Matt can't do it. That was so wrong. And honestly, your podcast, you're gonna get like views and whatnot because it's the WWE umbrella now, corporatized and everything. But people have been noticing your podcast is not the same. Quite frankly, in my opinion, it's trash. It is trash. And you deserve your fate you get with this podcast. The way you dealt your co-host and your friend was dirty. That was dirty. I'm done. Guys, meet your heroes because you may not like what you find, but you need to know who. And this is another thing. Don't put people on pedestals like, oh, he's my idol, she's my idol, they are my idol. Don't put people on pedestals. Even as great as they are, be a fan, but don't put them on a pedestal because you're going to be sorely disappointed. That was wrong. That was just wrong. How and Michelle, I understand get the money in the family, but you don't deserve half those opportunities. That there were better people before you who were doing that job before you that you buried. You and the Undertaker buried Mickey James and Matt Lyda. And quite frankly, Undertaker, I don't think you get LFG, in my opinion, without fucking Matt Lyda because people saw what was going on with the podcast game. It's like, whoa, why don't we get the Undertaker here? People started doing more interviews with the Undertaker now because, like, oh my God, he's actually doing this now? What? And now, like, capitalism, you have no purpose for me no more, Matt, as a co host. Your services are no longer needed, but I'm not going to tell you about it until the very end when everything's all said and done. It's always all said and done. You're done. You're dead to me. That's basically what happened. You was Snake and you called Hulk Hogan and you said, I don't like him. The funny thing is, I'm going to set the racist stuff Hulk Hogan set aside, but the backstage politics and what Hulk Hogan was doing, I could argue we are finding out you have done the same thing 3 times, all involving Michelle McCool. How dare you? How dare you? Don't ever, moral of the story is if someone's your friend, treat them like they're really your friend. Be upfront, be real about it, even in business. There is a way to, even if they're not going to be, you got to part ways, do it the right way. At least tell them along the way. Don't backstab them behind the back. because that ain't your friend. And something tells me I don't think Matt Lyda and Undertaker might be cool now that he went on Maven's podcast and said those things. And you know what? If I'm Matt Lyda, I don't know you personally, good riddance with The Undertaker. He backstabbed you. What they do? They smile in your face. Although Undertaker hardly smiled at all. Mark Calloway barely smiled at all. Hey, yo, hardly smiled at all. Yeah, that's it for me now. Catch me at 7 o'clock for my reading of One Nation Under Blackmail, the continuation of High Tech Treason. See you then.